What's up, y'all? It's your girl Amanda, and welcome to another episode of the Dope Confidence Podcast. I just love it when I am able to talk to my friends, people that I personally know, that I can learn more about their journey and then share with you the dope things that they've done and how they carve their own path. So if you're new to my channel, what do you need to do? You need to subscribe. You need to subscribe, be a part of the community, and share this information if it is applicable to you on your journey of becoming. So I want to introduce y'all to a musical producer. He's also a musician, plays multiple instruments, as well as a musical director. And he happens to be my friend. Y'all give it up for my boy, Doug Williams. What is up, Doug?
What up? What up? What up? That was a great introduction.
Yay! I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. You're my friend. We've been knowing each other for a long time. And I'm only 25. That's crazy, right?
So long. You just know me.
We've been knowing each other for a long time, and I've seen you evolve, not only as a music artist, musician, producer, director, but also as a man. So I'm excited to have this conversation and share the amazing things that you have done and share your journey, because I know it's going to inspire and empower a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I'm excited, man.
Yeah. I know,
coming.
right? So let's talk about our origin story.
Right.
So I was working with this. I don't even know how I met Tony, to keep it 100. Like, how did I meet him?
Yeah, I don't know either. I think you just knew him.
How do I just know?
Yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, Amanda's always been around. Yeah.
I don't even know how I met him. That's so
Man.
weird. Like, I'm going to have to think
Was it
about that.
your cousin? No?
No.
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 That's crazy. I don't even know. Yeah, because I
Never.
remember telling me about you before I met you.
Right.
So I remember that. So I was a young one.
Yep.
I wasn't
Step up.
I wasn't even 18 yet. And
Wow. For real?
he talked about you. I've known our mutual friend Tony since I was 16. Yeah, 16. And yeah.
Wow. Were
And he
you?
told me, he's like, I gotta meet this artist. Her name is Amanda. Man, she's so dope. Man, we gotta do some stuff. And I'm just like, all right, whatever.
Wow, that is crazy. So we met
Yeah.
at Tony's studio for rehearsal or something like that, and you weren't
Yes.
even 18 years old. That's crazy.
Yes. And I was playing keys. Who was it? G Safori. That's his name.
Yeah.
Safori.
Yeah, you were playing keys. And then from there, we kind of kept in contact with each other. I did some work with Tony, and then you became a part of my band when I was really singing a lot more back then. And
Yeah.
you're playing keys. And then from there, over the years, we just kept in contact with each other. So we're both from, Southern California. We could say the IE or the Inland Empire if you want to. But some great folks have come out of the IE, and some amazing people that we personally know have come out of the IE, out of our circle of people that are doing some really great things. And you're one of them. You are one of them. So let's talk about your journey. You started. How did you? Did you wake up playing piano? How did that all happen?
Whew, man, honestly, no. Piano is like being that type of musician, or being the musician I am today, is like the last thing on my mind. Honestly,
Hmm.
I'm really a hip hop and R&B fan. Of course, I grew up in the church, and it's very strict. And my parents, well, at least my mother.
Okay.
I don't want to put my mother on blast, but she didn't want me listening to certain things, but I found a way. I found a way. That's all I'm saying. I found a way. And I was really into hip hop, really into R&B. I was also into gospel too, but
Okay.
I started off DJing and rapping. To be
What?
honest, yeah, like that's how it started. Really, it started. There was no piano at first, and I really like to songwrite.
I kind of remember you talking about you being a rapper, Had no
Yeah.
clue about the whole DJ thing, but wow, what was your DJ name?
I mean, my name is Doug, so you already know it comes Dougie Fresh, DJ Fresh. So I
Um,
started off with DJ Fresh. So
okay.
my cousin, see, now how it started was because I was just like, man, we making these beats. We got the 4-track recorder. I had a friend. We had a group. Basically, it started off as Christian rap, and
Okay.
it was tied to a church, and we were called Cream. Basically, that's what it was.
Cash
And
rules
we
everything around me,
no,
or
it wasn't that.
Christ rules everything around me.
It wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. We just liked the word cream, and so the but the church was
What?
called Cross. The church was called Crossroads, and
Okay.
so we just had to find something that matched with Crossroads, and so we said Crossroads Cream. So we started there. That was the first name,
Oh my
and then the
lord.
second name was, oh, you know what? We should be ABC. Now you already know in the '90s there was already a group called ABC.
At the
Another
playground, you know.
Right, but we was young too, so we was like, "No, we're gonna be ABC," and this is where we did the acronym All About Christ, right?
Oh, okay, okay,
And
okay,
so
okay.
we just like rap, and we were just rapping over instrumentals that were already out, like Nate Dogg's, what's that? Don't leave me alone, never
Oh,
leave.
never leave me alone.
Yeah, we did that one, and then I'll be good. And so we were right over the instrumentals because back then
That's what
they
we
would
did
get
at church too, with the church choir. Let's flip it.
right, right. We're gonna be creative.
Right, right. Don't leave by Blackstreet.
No, right. Da.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Right. So we were just like, we don't have no beats. And we was recording in a 4-track, like the Tascam 4-track tape. You
Wow.
remember those?
Yep. Yep.
So we would practice and record our demos that way. So it
Okay.
was me and another friend. He's gone. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing now, but it was just me and this other dude. We were same age. I was a little older.
Okay.
We were like 10, 11, and we would just rap at church. And then I decided like, yo, I want to start making beats, but I want to
Mhm.
do it with the turntables. Because
Okay.
I'm always thinking ahead. I'm just that person, and I think you know that about me. I'm
Yeah.
very ambitious. I'm very like, ooh, we could just let's try this. Yeah. So the turntables was my jam. So my cousin was a DJ,
Okay.
and he was already in, and basically he gave me his vinyl and
Mhm.
his two techniques, and he gave me his whole setup because he was just
Wow.
like, all right, cool. And my dad was like, all right, we're not gonna get you some turntables, or you're not gonna get them unless you prepare a place for them, right? So this is my first lesson in life. He's like, all right, you want these turntables, so you got to prepare a place for something that you really want. And so
Hmm.
he put me in the garage,
Hmm.
and he's like, if you clean up this garage, we'll make sure you get these tables, and we'll put it right there, and you can practice and do whatever you want. So I cleaned up that garage. That garage was scary. Had spiders. I don't. I don't do spiders.
He's so scary.
I don't do bugs, and I did it. I cleaned it up, and that's where it started. I learned how to mix. I learned how to do all that stuff. Most people don't know that. I started there, and that's where I got my more of my love for music because at that point, as most DJs will know, like you're listening to a lot of music at that point.
Mhm.
You're DJ, you're even though I wasn't like out there, I was at the beginning, but I would listen to so many records, songs I ain't never heard before. And back
Wow.
then we were using tapes, cassette tapes, CDs. Yes, we're out. I had the CD player in my rig, but most of
Yeah.
all, I had the vinyl, and I had to learn about the vinyl and the needles and the songs and 45s and you know what I mean.
Right.
So
Wow.
that was kind of my introduction, honestly. And then my mother, she just didn't like it. So my mother was on a mission because she didn't like she. Hey, sorry, mom. She didn't want me to do the rap thing. That wasn't her.
No, we're
She
not
shouldn't
doing that.
have said to her. She was like, "I don't want you to do the rap thing, but you really like to write songs," and that's what it was. I was a songwriter, honestly. I'm
Yeah.
still a songwriter, but a producer at that more so. I like to create. So my
Mhm.
mother was like, "No, we're gonna get you a piano. That's where you're gonna start."
Mm.
And then I started playing piano, and God just I don't know how it happened, but God just kind of just started giving me chords out of thin air. I never would have thought. And and once you get that little bug and you start being like, ooh, look at me, man, God, you really, I guess this
Yeah.
is where I got to go. And I went to church, and I'm in church, and they found out I could play a little bit. You already know what happens after that.
Come on up here and play. Would you be a
Yeah,
musician,
come on,
huh?
right here. Let me tell you a little something. Here, play these chords right here.
Wow. Wow, I had no idea. So you started off as a DJ and you had a love for music and you wanted to produce a little bit more. So your mom, seeing the gift in you, I mean, thank God for her, right? She's the one that said, "Okay, in so many words, she's like, let's make a shift.
Yes,
Let's, introduce you to the piano because you can be more creative with this instrument. Then you'll be able to do so much more." And I
yes,
believe, because I know you personally, like that was the thing that opened the door for you in your life with music.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
It was exactly the door. Matter of fact, at the time, if I think about it, I was very against it. So
Mm.
I was very against it, but my mother, and that's why I said God bless my mom, because I probably wouldn't be alive today if I never went that direction.
Yeah.
The direction that I'm in now, I probably would be dead, because my mother, like you said, saw the gift in me, and what she did, and this was during the time where computers were just starting to
Mm-hmm.
really pop off, and people weren't really doing computer production. So my mom really invested in that. So I technically had, while I was learning how to play, my mother bought me recording equipment. She
Wow.
saw that in me. So I actually, before, like now, everybody's on computers, right? Back then, that wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here 12, 13 years old with production stuff. My mother invested in microphone, a piano teacher, computer programs. I learned how to
Wow.
write and produce at 13. And I've been doing this ever since. And
Wow.
that's what it was. It was the creation of music. I just happened to play really well. God used that as well to
Mm-hmm.
basically open the doors for other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
All work together. And so, but my mother was the one who really
Mm-hmm.
said, "No, I'm gonna help. I'm gonna help this one. I'm gonna help my boy."
Yeah,
And
and that's pretty dope. Like she invested in your gift, but
yeah,
then also you took lessons which helped refine your gift, right?
yes,
Like you
yes,
had this raw talent that, of course, every gift needs to be refined so that we could reach the fullest potential that God has for us in our gifting, in our purpose, and our calling, which is so amazing. So you've been playing and you've been producing as a teenager, and then you turn 18, and this is where kind of like a little bit more of my relationship with you and me seeing the different things that you've done as a music producer and musician. So I remember you started really playing. You started playing at church,
mhm.
and then you decided to go on tour. Now, when you went on tour, how old were you? We can talk about that story.
The first tour, or
The first tour.
the first tour, oh, that was like Chitlin Circuit. And most
Yeah.
people don't know
How old were
that
you?
term. The Chitlin, I was 19.
19. So fresh out the gate of becoming, a full-fledged musician at church and playing, you go on your first tour. And I believe like this was a turning point for you, and we could talk about this in
Yeah,
your growth as a musician, your growth of learning to be resilient
yeah,
and having faith in all that. So talk about that. So you got an opportunity to go on your
yeah,
first tour.
yeah.
What's and explain to folks what the chitlin circuit is, because everybody don't even know what chitlins are. Number one, so what's the chitlin circuit, Doug?
There's no more. I said my mama loved chitlins too. Uh, Not me. I don't like them,
I don't
but
like them either. Sorry, y'all.
that's not me. Man, the chitlin circuit, just in the short, it was called that for like, it's like a southern, almost southern kind of connotation to it, but yes, it's staying at people's houses and just you don't know where your next check is coming from. It's just kind of like, you know, I think even then back then, with it was during the clubs, the little
Mm,
small clubs, and we weren't allowed to go into the major venues, and we weren't allowed to do the big stuff, back in the day. And this is before me, and it was just like a circuit. There was a way you could still tour, right, and not be big time and being
mm-hmm.
black, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So
Mm-hmm.
we had our own circuit, right?
Yeah.
So you go
Yeah.
to what they call the juke joints, and
Uh-huh.
all that stuff. That's the chilling circuit. That's like you doing these tours. Yeah, you going on tour, but you driving yourself. You figuring out where your meals coming from. You staying in people's houses. Like you not staying in hotels. You might have a van or a station wagon or with the trailer attached to it with all your.
Mm.
So mine was in, of course, modern day, but it was still that. Like I stayed in people's houses. We stayed in some roach motels. Like I mean, it was crazy. Matter of fact, I got a crazy story. I think I even called you during that time because I think I remember,
Yeah.
and you was so gracious. I was like, oh my god, I ain't got no money.
I remember.
I was like, I ain't got no money, and then we was in Louisiana. That's right, not Louisiana. We was in New Orleans. I
Okay.
remember this was the week before Katrina hit. We was in New Orleans,
Mm.
and I remember telling everybody, and it was raining. So the first day we got there, it wasn't raining. But then the next few days we were stuck there. We were kind of just there. And I remember telling the band at the time, and I was with the quartet band, just a clarification. I was touring with the quartet band. I don't want to say their name,
Which
just
is
the
a gospel quartet, correct?
gospel quartet. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, and just to give a little backstory, quartets are like precursor to like R&B groups.
Mm-hmm.
R&B kind of developed from that. Which is fun. I like quartet music.
Me too.
I I love it. I mean, I actually love it. It's just it doesn't get the shine
Yeah.
that a lot of other genres get, but I still to this day.
Me too.
And
Shout out
but
to the Soul Seekers, right?
yo, Soul Seeker, shout out to Warren Campbell,
Yes. Yeah. Eric
uh,
Seats, Nissan
Eric,
Stewart. You know
Boo
what I mean?
Boo,
Teddy, if you're ready.
Teddy. Yeah, man. Those are
Right.
I love those dudes, man. And yeah, so um, and then I remember telling those guys like, "Yo, there's this hurricane coming. It's coming. We got to get out of here." I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you. And there was a 10 freeway. I'm telling you, we hit that 10 freeway. We got out of there, and probably the next week that 10 freeway was under the water.
Wow.
But that's just something I remember, and it was just interesting. But yeah, like I say this, I cut my teeth on stuff like that, and I did it 2 years in a row to experience like being in the van and just may not take a shower
Mm.
in people's houses. But sometimes that's fun too because I stayed at some people's houses where they were like just so nice. You just saw the hospitality and me being from Cali, you from
Mm-hmm.
Cali. There's a different world out there. That was my first taste into Southern hospitality and
Okay.
the type of people and going to churches, man. I ain't never seen a church that was on that was bro. I mean, I went to this church and it
Mm-hmm.
was leaning to the side. We did a whole concert. The church leaned to the side.
Are you serious? Wow.
Serious. We did it. And you walk in the church and you kind of walking tilted. And people still showed up. And we killed it that night. And outside the church was a cemetery. I had never seen a church with a cemetery next to it.
Mm.
And it was like way in the boonies of Mississippi. By the way, I ain't never been to Mississippi before this time. And I felt like I was in a time machine. I was like, man, I feel something right now.
Wow.
But what a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the first one, and I think that was important in my development as a musician, as a person to
Mm-hmm.
understand. Because later in life I got different type of perks as I toured. You know,
Right.
but I always was humble. I always was I just had a good character about certain things
Mm-hmm.
because I have been through hard stuff, you know, and still was able to do music and still had a love for it. So
Yeah.
the chicken nugget will it's tough, man. You got to be tough. I mean, I'm just sugarcoating, no, or not sugarcoating, but I'm like glossing over some of the hard things, you know,
Keeping it light. Yeah.
very light, but it did add to who I was as a musician and a person. You know?
Mm.
So 19 years old.
Wow. And I'm sure that it really shaped, your character and who you are as a man and a
Yes.
musician from those experiences that you had. So let's fast forward to you getting an opportunity to work with a production team. So you're still in the IE, you're still, doing local things, playing at churches, chitlin circuit tours every now and then. But when did your first big opportunity come?
Actually, prior to that production team, I
Mm,
got offered 2 deals, and I no, I've gotten offered 3 deals in my life. I've only taken one.
okay.
First deal was again, I won't say their name, but it was with you remember that group Danity Kane?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So I was with the production team that produced that song "Damaged" for Danity Kane,
How'd they
and
find you?
it's funny. It's through. I mean, I guess I could say his name. It's through Chris Stokes.
Okay.
Chris Stokes. Most people know Chris Stokes is responsible for like Immature, B2K,
Mm-hmm.
and basically, there was an artist I worked with back in the day who was involved with Chris Stokes for a
Okay.
moment, and I did a Christian album with this artist,
Mm-hmm.
but it sound like a Christian album because, like, if people that know me know that I don't have a traditional. As I produce, I don't have a traditional gospel sound. Like
Mm-hmm.
my sound, very. I'm not gonna say secular driven, but I just like what I like, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's not very traditional. And I guess one of the tracks that I did for this artist got played for Chris Stokes, and Chris Stokes was like, "Ooh, that's dope. Who's that?" And then
Wow.
somebody else in the room heard it as well, and that person was like, "Yo, who produced this?" And that was
Mm.
and they reached out to me, and I had a meeting with him. I actually took my uncle with me to LA. That was the first time I actually went to LA to have a meeting with a
Wow.
production. And he presented. He was like, "Man, I want you to be part of my production team, and we produce this, this, and this, and you know, um, yeah, I think you're dope." But it wasn't for gospel though. And at the
Mm.
time, like you know me, I'm like not really trying to. At that time, I wasn't trying to really venture out of into secular at that time. So, and then I know my mother, she wasn't about it, and you know what I mean. It
Right.
just I was like super Christian, you know. I'm not I'm just keep it here. I'm just Jesus, 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 you know. And you know, so I just didn't do it. And it's funny. I remember the conversations till this day. And he was a very big producer. He was in the industry
Wow.
heavy. I actually saw him years later when I actually got signed to another deal. I actually met up with him. I met up with his ex-wife. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's like full circle, man. The industry is close. Trust and believe. The industry is close. So you'll run into people again if you're
Hmm.
in. You so yeah, that was the first deal. Second deal, I actually signed it with my friends, and we went and just that's when everything changed. I think at this time I was a little older,
Okay.
and I was looking to just basically like find myself,
Mm.
and this deal pretty much like opened the door for me to do that. And so I left home, I left the IE, I went to LA. I It was 12 years, like 12 years total,
Wow.
living in LA. Yeah, I left every most people didn't even know I left.
It was
Like
12.
left
You lived out in LA for 12 years?
12 years.
Dang.
Yeah, 12 years.
Wow. Talk about how much, even though I know the backstory, of course, but tell about talk about how much of a game changer it was for you to move to LA so you can be a part of the music scene or the entertainment world. That was a game changer for you.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was a game changer for a couple of reasons. One, it tore the veil, right?
Mm,
So I know most of us grow up that do music or who are not really, they don't really, we have an idea of what the industry is, but nobody really knows until they're in it, right?
mm,
So one thing it did for me, it changed my level of confidence first,
mm,
because in the music industry, everything's very fast paced. You got to remember, like the people that are really doing it, the deals that are made, the things that you have to accomplish in
mm,
a short period of time. And there's no, there's believers in the industry, but this is business. Like
mm-hmm,
it's all business. Like to get out of the mindset like everybody's your friend, to get out of that, like it changed a lot of thinking for me. It
mm,
made it had made me become more real with myself. Now it added some other things to me that I had to get rid of later, negative
okay.
things, and we can talk about that. But for the most part, in a good sense, it took away a lot of excuses. So as a creator, as a producer, as a musician, it took a lot of excuses from me. It created work ethic,
Mm,
because it's like, for example, I remember getting yelled at for thinking too much as a piano player. Like, Doug, I need you, yo, man, you're so dope. I need you to add some stuff to this song. All right, cool. And then most musicians, we know so much. We know too much. We
mm-hmm,
overthink. So you get in them sessions, you with producers who don't know as much as you.
mm,
And you sitting there, I can come up this one and I can play this song. Oh, do you like this? And the producer's looking at you like, bro, I'm about to kick you out of the studio. Like everything you do is dope. Like just pick something. I'm the producer.
mm,
Patience is thin. The patience is thin in those rooms. And these musicians up here, dope. They're dope. But you always wonder why these people, you think, oh, they're so great. I don't understand why they're not bigger than they are, because they know too much.
mm,
They're too in their head. But you got to understand, like, it's just music. You're doing too much. So that's the one thing I learned how to control, because I knew a lot and I still know a lot. And I know more now than I did then. So
yeah.
one thing I learned, and I think I'll take this with me for the rest of my life and the rest of my career, is that I know how to turn that off. That overthinking, that over analytical, that
Mm,
ain't about it, because that also is tied into you. That is also tied into pride,
mm,
if you really think about it. Right now, you're trying to serve. You're in a servant mode. When you're producing, you're in a
mm-hmm,
servant mode. Unless it's your record, you're in a servant's mode. You are a
mm,
servant. You can't you can't make a great record by over analyzing stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You can't do that. And a lot of musicians, a lot of people that are really good, they don't get to the next level because they are still in themselves. They're so worried about stuff.
Mm,
So that's what I learned. I shedded that being
yeah.
out there.
And
So
so
like
it was a period of your life, those 12 years, where, of course, you've gained confidence and you've gained skill and certain abilities, but also you talked about how you had to release some things that maybe were negative, maybe some pride, maybe releasing other things that weren't good for you so you could take to the next journey. You had to let
yeah,
those things go.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
And
mm,
that's why I say, like, even now, like I go, man, I don't struggle with that stuff. I can recognize that stuff in other people and I can speak into it. I can go, hey, stop. Like you're thinking you're trying to be better. You're thinking you're trying to get the best recording, and you're not. You're being like Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones, he's like that. He's calls it analysis paralysis of
uh-huh.
analysis. That's what he calls it. I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
heard that.
Mm-hmm.
We do. That's what we do, and that's actually coming from a selfish place.
Mm,
Really think about it. It comes from a self-centered, self-absorbed place. as a musician. When you overthink, when you're trying to create, that's bad. And especially as a Christian, it's not about us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to allow the Holy Spirit to come in.
Yeah.
Nothing gets created without the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
I feel
So, you know,
that. I think a
yeah.
lot of times too, when it comes down to analysis paralysis, is that especially nowadays, when we listen to music and there's so many people that sound like other people, we get
Mhm.
caught up in the comparisons. Like, I need to sound like this individual, I need to produce like this individual. And sometimes it will keep us so stuck where we get in analysis paralysis, where when we make something, we're
Right.
constantly are picking it apart and making sure, okay, well, maybe I need to change this, or maybe I need to do this, and maybe I need to do this, and then nothing ever gets put out.
Yeah, nothing ever gets done. And you're missing out. And you're missing out not only just that, but you're missing out on affecting people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we think about it as creators, the one thing I think is amazing that we are allowed to do, that God gives us the ability to do, is create moments for other people that can't do what we do.
Mm.
All right, we create. If you create a song, I just use it as an example. I've created many songs that music videos were made to.
Mm.
I've done that, and I think about it. Everybody a part of that music video wouldn't be a part if I didn't decide to make a song. I helped create a moment in people's lives that they didn't even know they needed. And they got
Mm.
from my decision. They were able to pay their bills from my decision.
Wow.
That's big.
That's huge. That shows you and proves, we talk about your gift making room for you. Your gift will put you before great men, but your gift can also impact so many people. And you're so right. I remember there's been times when I've sang before and people have come up to me and said, that song that you wrote from your album so many years ago, it really changed my life. It helped me get through a tough time. I didn't think I was going to make it, but your song helped me through. And to
Mhm.
hear those things, just like what you said, what if I never would have put that out in the world? I'm
Yeah.
not saying that that person never would have gone on their healing journey, but what I put out there that God gave me was something that created change in somebody's life. It was the one thing that helped them put into this box of other things that they needed to do to change their life. I was a part of that. I was a
Yeah.
part of that impact, just like you were a part of that impact. And that's crazy that you think about it. Like, if you never would have put that song out or helped produce a song for somebody, all those people wouldn't have had a job. That person wouldn't have made it to the level they are in their career. Maybe not now, but maybe it might have took them a little bit longer or detoured their destiny because you didn't do what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
Crazy.
Listen, for example, so and they're my boys, so they can correct me if this post, I don't care. They can call me. But one of the David Diggs,
Mm-hmm.
and he's in Blackish. He was one of the first for that play, Hamilton. He
Mm-hmm.
got Tony. He got Grammys.
Mm-hmm.
That was a part. They were a part of when I decided to do what I did.
Wow.
They are like and Rafael Casal, man, my boys. He's my Leo brother, by the way. We got the same birthday, same year.
Wow.
Rafael, and he's on Marvel. He's director, like he's big time.
Wow.
That's my dude. That's my dude. But we all met doing what
Yeah.
we all. But see what I'm saying? It's like what we decide to do affects other people. I've had other people get record deals off of things I've just given them. I can confidently say, like, and I don't have no strings attached. I don't need nothing back from none of these people, but just to know that I was a part of their journey,
Yeah.
and I helped push them to an opportunity that could change their life.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me. I'm
It
like, dang.
is. It's huge, and this, like, this, we gotta do a part two on this one.
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes we question the gift that we were given,
Mm-hmm.
I've always talked about this when I speak at church. Like, I look at Michael, Michael, smart
Yep.
guy, very intelligent, financial person, guru, specialist, expert, whatever. And, when I was, you know, younger, but he's younger than me, I would be like, man, God, how come you didn't give me that gift? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have loved to have that gift. But he's
Right.
like, no, like, I got that gift for you. It's like kids in a family that are open up gifts on Christmas Day, right? And
Mm-hmm.
your brother got this, you got that, and you're like, why did I get this gift? But we got to learn how to appreciate the gift that we have because it is made for us. It's like our innate gift. Like, this is what God has given us because He knows what's inside of us, that what we could produce with what He gave us, right? Like y'all ain't believers. Maybe you are. I don't know. But we could talk about the talents in the Bible. How,
Yeah.
the man was given the talents out, and one of them, produced something from it. One of
Right.
them buried it and didn't do nothing with it. But
Right. He called him evil. He called him evil.
man,
Ain't that something?
okay.
He called him evil for hiding it.
Ah, ah,
He said, "Give me something," and you hid it. That's evil. What? But I know why though. Because what you have is not just for you.
nah,
It's not for you. It's not just for you. It is part of it's for you,
yeah,
but the rest is not for you.
mm-mm,
You just gotta you it's not like super spiritual. It's just like whatever we do affects other people. Like I can listen to secular records and it affects me.
yeah,
It makes me think about stuff that I maybe shouldn't do, or somebody told me one of my good friends, my colleagues, he said, be satisfied with your portion. And then that's the problem. A lot of people are not satisfied with their portion. That's just general, you
that's
know.
true. I've taught vocal lessons. Tell people that I want to sound like this individual. No, you need to sound like yourself.
Yeah.
You need to fall in
Me
love with
too.
your voice.
Yeah. If you can't
Mm-hmm.
do all the runs, that's fine. Michael Jackson didn't do a bunch of runs, and he the greatest performer ever to
Ever.
live. Ever to live. Nobody can outdo. I don't care who you are. I don't care. Nobody will ever outdo Michael Jackson in my book. Like, as far as music is concerned,
Yeah.
he's still the greatest performer of every time. But listen, he never did what everybody else did.
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
Yep. Man, but that's part two of this podcast to talk
Yeah,
about your gift and everything. So
I got a lot. I got a
went
lot to
down a
say.
rabbit hole. Your
Focus, focus.
portion is your portion. Love it.
Go for it. Yeah,
Accept and embrace your gift, your brilliance, and trust and believe. If you do that and you walk in it and you put it out there in the world, man, opportunities and doors is gonna open for you for sure. And you are
yeah,
evident of that. You're evidence of that. So you had your 12 years in LA and you worked with some really great, very well known artists producing. Also doing concerts and being a musician, playing keys for some really great, well known people in the industry. But then you had another shift where
mhm,
touring came back,
yeah,
an
yeah. But a
opportunity
real one,
about that,
real tour,
a real tour.
a
Man,
real.
so talk about that. How did the opportunity, come to you? And then what was that experience like?
And honestly, it fell in my lap. I remember praying actually with my girlfriend at the time. And I always used to be like, man, I'm doing this and I know this person and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Hmm.
man, I would love to tour for at least 1 year. That's all I wanted was 1 year. I just want to see what it's like.
Yeah, a real tour.
And
Not saying those
a
aren't
real-
real tours, but industry tour.
but like with all the buses and the airplanes and
Right.
the fanfare, that I want to do that. And it was so interesting. Maybe a few months after that prayer, so crazy. A mutual friend of ours
Okay.
called me, and he was like, "Yo, man, I got this opportunity," and I was like, "Okay."
Uh
He
huh.
said, "I remember you say you want a tour," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I want a tour." He's like, "All right, well, I'm playing for this artist, Andy Grammer," and then I was like, Okay, I don't know who that is.
You're like, who?
I'm like, who? Who's that? But whatever, it's cool, whatever. And then I said, yeah, I'll do it. And he was like, yeah, man, just come in and kill it. No real audition,
Wow.
no, not even an audition. And then the tour manager got in touch with me and said, "Hey, man, this." He kept saying this opportunity for you. Okay, cool. Like whatever. I'm still at the record label at this time, so and like I
Mm,
don't know how I'm about to do this. But I had a month to prepare, and so I just basically was like, "All right, cool, I'm gonna do it." Right? I don't know who Andy Grammer is. I don't. Whatever. I'm sitting up here producing, living my life, but I'm gonna do the tour,
yeah.
and I take it upon myself. I learned all the songs. I learned his whole catalog actually
Wow.
just because I talk to and I like to do my research when I work for artists, and I go, okay, what did you do? And I had a couple of contacts, some people that played with him before, and
Mm-hmm.
I got just got everything down. And my audition was the first show, and I remember the first show. Yeah,
Your audition was the first show. Wow.
yeah, the first show, and I
That's
remember
crazy.
like it was yesterday. Auburn University, Alabama, and it was the first show. I never played with this man ever. We had like
Wow.
one rehearsal prior. He was about to come out with his next album, but he wasn't finished yet. So he
Mm-hmm.
only had one album out prior to me joining the band. And I wasn't technically in the band. It developed over time. And Auburn University, I did everything great except for like one song. I messed up on like one little synth. But he was cool. He's like, I don't like that song anyway. So he's like, I like you, bro. I like you. And it was history from there. And I was in the band for 6 years.
Wow. I
I only had
remember
6 years.
I can't believe it's been 6 years, but I remember like seeing you on TV for the first time. Like, I've seen you other times on TV, but like
Yeah.
constantly on like Good Morning America or whatever
Mhm.
nighttime show, this Disney. I'm
Yeah.
like, Doug, oh my God, that's Doug. Guys, that's Doug. Look at Doug dancing on stage. What's that thing called?
The guitar, the
The
guitar.
guitar.
I know, man. I was against that one, but he was like, "No, you're gonna use it. Get a guitar." I had to find a guitar. I was like, "I don't know. I ain't got no money to get a
It
guitar."
was killing it on the guitar. I mean, it was
And,
such it brought me so much joy to see, where you've come from, all the things
mm,
that you've experienced and our personal conversations, and then to see you on TV and doing things and enjoying life and enjoying this prayer that was answered, from God, that you're actually doing that. And 6 years, wow, huh?
6 years, I wanted one, and I literally would have been okay with one. Like, and it just happened. I'm telling you, it just happened, and we had a kinship. Like, I'm still cool with Andy, even to this day. I'm not in the
Wow.
band, but I'm still cool with everybody. He has a different group now, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just like that experience really also tore the veil off for another side of things. So now I have
Yeah.
a twofold thing. Like
Mm.
the veil's been pulled back on production world and the record industry, as well as the touring industry. So like here I am now after all of that, and I'm like, wow, God, and like I said, it wasn't like always peaches and cream. I had my
Yeah.
moments. It was like, ooh, what am I doing? And a lot of it's my fault. Like I made mistakes. I grew up. I tell everybody when I was touring, that was like the hey Doug, you're about to make some mistakes now,
Mm.
and you're gonna have to grow up. That's what touring was for me, and it was with the right crew because Andy is like kind of no nonsense kind of guy,
Yeah.
and he had a lot of grace with me, and which I appreciate him for. Not a lot of artists or bands have grace like that, and he really, I'll give him his props. He really had grace with me, and he really showed me, you know, how to think about life, how to approach life, how to. I really grew up in that band, honestly,
Mm. Yeah.
and a lot of things happened for me that I had to change. It's like a process, right? We get these things in our lives, but we also. I wish I could have learned a lot of things I learned in his band earlier.
Mm-hmm.
that's just where I was, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like good and bad. It was like good and bad, you know.
So what do you think from your experience in the music industry, and now you're not touring anymore, you're married now, you got two little girls,
Um,
working at one of the very well-known churches in San Diego and abroad. Um, but what do you think your biggest lessons that you've learned that you can drop to someone that wants to or aspires to be like Doug, a touring musician or a producer? What lessons can you give them?
Number one, just be satisfied with your portion. Don't try to be like everybody else. If you know, a lot of things we make a lot of mistakes trying to. I mean, let me say this: we're going to search to figure out who we are,
Okay.
but I believe that God has given us blueprint even before that moment where we go, "Who am I?" God has been working with us since we were born. You know, like in Jeremiah where it says, I knew you before you were, in your
Mm-hmm.
mother's womb. Well, that's serious. Like, not just I knew you, like, I'm dropping little things in your life to show you
Mm-hmm.
there's a track record here. Like, if we all took time and really sat and thought about our track record, even as kids, like, we don't really change that much.
Right.
Not really. From when you were 9, you still remember things. You still act a certain way
Mm-hmm.
that you were when you were 9, and you might be 30. You still act similar.
Yeah.
All you did was minor adjustments. That's all you did. So that tells me that God has been working with us since the day we were born. So I just want to leave a nugget in everybody's life, like, you know, don't try to be something you're not. Really learn how to love yourself. That's what I tell musicians. We got a problem. We're creatives. We're creatives, and and most people are creatives because we don't feel accepted.
Mm.
I know that was me. I had bad self esteem as a child. And music and creativity is where I find, my worth to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn that that's not where it lives, though.
Mm.
My worth is in God. My worth is in who God made me, you know? So we have to really just learn to love ourselves. That's my ultimate thing to everyone. Love
Yeah.
yourself. Also be open to growing as a human. Be open. Don't be closed off like this is who I am. I'm never gonna change. No, because that's not gonna help you either.
Mm-hmm.
That's not gonna get you in a lot of doors. If you think about it, if you're closed off as a person, that's not gonna get you into the doors you say you want to be in.
It's true.
Not saying to conform to nothing. You don't have to conform to anybody, but listen.
Yeah.
Don't act like you know everything. Listen. And that's the problem with a lot of musicians. A lot of young musicians, especially nowadays, everybody's learning on their own. Nobody has a mentor. I've been blessed to have people in my life,
Mm-hmm.
like myself, and others that I can actually talk to and go, hey, what do you think about this? This is what I'm thinking about. Or I just did this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I just messed up, or what, and to talk me off of that ledge, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's important. Mentorship is important. Discipleship is important. Whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's my advice to the up and comers, and everything will fall into place if you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It will fall into place. You don't have to you have to aggressively be in position to get it, but you don't have to aggressively attack it.
Mm.
'Cause whatever is for you, nothing will stop it from getting to you. Like nothing, nothing, no person, nobody hating on you. If it's for you, you're gonna get it. Period.
Wow. Man, you dropped some gems. You really you dropped some gems, and yeah, I know y'all gonna these takeaways, y'all need to write them down and reflect seriously and honestly on that, because what is for you is for you, and
Yeah,
aggressively go after your purpose, your calling. And today's Doug Williams is at Rock Church in San
yeah,
Diego, right?
yes. Rock Church, Pastor Miles McPherson.
Yes. And you're the MD there?
I am the musical director there at the church. Been about 3 years now, going on
Okay.
4. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
I
I wasn't
know,
even
right?
church. I wasn't even not looking. I was not.
We know. Look, I know.
Yeah, I know, like I was like, I was definitely not. And then even to be MD, I was like, they had to force me to put in my resume because I was
Wow.
no. I was like, no.
It was
Yeah,
that gentle push, huh?
it was a gentle push, but I was like, I felt God kind of going, nah, just do it. Just do it. That still small voice, just like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, cool. I'll do it. I wasn't expecting nothing.
Yeah. And so
And it
many
was,
great things have come from you being at the church, from you as a man, your spirit man, your walk, and then
yeah,
also with I'm sure as being a musical director too, and just in this different setting when it comes down to church from when you played at other churches years ago. But you guys have a new single, right? Tell us
yes.
about Rock Church Worship, a little bit about your part in producing this great music that they're putting out.
Yeah. Honestly, we're kind of, since we all have come out of COVID, especially this church, we're just restructuring our worship department, the
Yeah.
church in general. People are just still slowly coming back, and I'm sure with all other churches, like it's the same, or
Mm-hmm.
COVID was something.
It
That's
was.
that shutdown was something, man. So I definitely feel honored to be a part of this new version of the Rock Church here in San Diego. But yeah, we call Rock Church Worship, and we are just putting out covers and original music. But the new one we have is called Still Waters. It's original song written actually by the worship pastor Howard McMahon and another team member. Her name is Ana E. Gutierrez.
Okay. Okay.
Gutierrez. I gotta put that.
Okay.
right. Roll them L's, and then and then I just co-produced. I co-produced it with them.
Wow.
But it's an amazing song. It's available everywhere. It's called Still Waters on all platforms. Rock
Yeah.
Church Worship. So I want love for everybody to just check it out and be blessed by the song. I think it's awesome. So
Yeah. Check it out, y'all. It's available on streaming platforms. And man, Doug, I love this time. We got to come back for a part 2. I appreciate you.
yeah,
And, I'm always proud of my boy. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? All right, then y'all check out Doug Williams. You can follow him on Instagram. And then check out Rock Church Worship's new song, Stillwater. All right, Doug.
Peace.
See you.